kids, it's Mrs. Davis. I am here in my learning corner. Welcome back into Happy Place to Grow. You know what? It is so close to Christmas. We're on the countdown, just a couple days. Many of you are already home for the holidays. You're out of school. And those of you that are still in school, well, your mind is probably already on holiday. However, that got me to thinking about learning. And learning never takes a holiday. So we're going to be doing a few fun math activities to keep our brains growing and our skills sharp, but we're going to have fun doing it. I brought along my friend the Grinch. He's going to help us. We're going to use the Grinch and some Whoville characters, and we're going to be doing a few fun math activities together to keep growing and learning, but in a fun way. So grab a pencil and grab some counters and let's get started. The first activity we're going to be working on is called Problems in Whoville. We're going to be working through some word problems. Now, if you've ever worked through a word problem, it can be a little confusing because there's words and numbers and you have to think through it and to solve it. So the first thing you have to do if you're using your strategies, the first thing you have to do to solve a word problem is you have to read it. And as you're reading it, you have to think about what is key, what is important to help you solve. Because sometimes there's numbers in there, but you're not sure what kind of math skill you need to use to solve. So first we're going to read through, then we're going to identify the key important parts of this word problem, and then we're going to be thinking about what we're solving and a good strategy to solve. So here we go. First thing we're going to do is read. Cindy Lou Who had 12 presents under the tree. The Grinch stole 7 of them. How many presents did Cindy Lou have to open? So if I'm reading through that, I'm thinking about, definitely if I'm doing a math problem, the numbers are important. That would be something that I would tell my students I want you to underline or highlight. So I see a 12 and a 7. Now I've got to think about the 12 and the 7. Are those two parts that I'm adding together to get a total? Or do I have the total and one part? And so therefore I might have to be subtracting. What do I need to solve? What am I trying to figure out? Am I trying to solve the total number or how many left over after I had the total and some were taken away? So let's read that one more time. Cindy Lou Who had 12 presents under the tree. The Grinch stole 7 of them. How many presents did Cindy Lou Who have to open? Our mystery is, if she had 12 and the Grinch stole 7, we want to know, here's our mystery to solve. We want to know how many she would have left after some were taken away. I'm thinking about the word stole, and I know that it means you're taking away. So this is going to be a subtraction problem. So in this first box here, after we read through, I always have my students write down in a math problem with numbers, show what the words say so they know what they're solving. So in this first box, I know I have 12, so I'm going to put that first. That's my total. That's my whole number, right? And the symbol I'm going to use for subtraction is that minus symbol. That means this is my whole number, and from that whole number, the Grinch stole 7. He took a part, not all, but a part away. And then we're putting our equal symbol. And our mystery, we're not solving yet. We haven't solved. We're going to put this is what we want to solve. We're going to put a question mark because we have this information. And now we know that we're going to be taking away from that whole. Now in this box right here, I'm going to be drawing my counters. I could use, snappy cubes if I wanted to. I've got those handy, but I like to do a drawing. This is a simple way to solve if you're working on a math word problem and you want to just draw out your counters. I always tell my students, don't draw pretty little presents. This is an art. You are solving a math problem. So let's just use a simple shape. Presents normally are like cube shapes, so let's use a square. Now I'm going to draw 7 presents. I'm not just going to draw them haphazardly. I'm going to put them in a pattern, and that way I can easily see I have 12. I'm going to do 6 and 6, right? So I've got some space up here, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. I'm drawing them in a line in an order of 4, 5, 6. When I'm drawing out, I want to make sure that my illustration is not detailed, but yet it is neat and orderly. So I know how many counters. It's going to be important that I start with 12, because even if I subtract 7, if I don't start with 12, my mystery number, my answer is going to be incorrect. So I want to make sure I get the counters on there correctly. And I'm right underneath. So if I have 6 on the top and I line them up, I don't even really have to count. I know I have 12. But I'm always double checking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now my boxes and squares are not pretty, but hey, it's not art. Now I've got 12 and I'm going to take away 7. So I can't just take them off my paper. A strategy for showing subtraction and what you've taken away, one strategy is you can X off. You can also circle that portion off too. I'm going to use the X off strategy. I've got 6 at the top, so I'm just going to go in order here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then one more is 7. This is what's left under the tree. How easy is that? Mystery solved. The answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can write that in the blank. And now down here I have an empty box. That is what this is matching what you're solving, but now you've solved, so let's write a complete equation. 12 minus 7, mystery is solved, equals 5. Way to go! Good sharpening of the skills. Now let's read this second word problem. 8 whos were singing down in Whoville. I know the 8's important. I'm already going to underline that. The numbers are important. But how I'm solving is going to be what I have to figure out. On Christmas morning, some more joined in. Some more joined in, but it doesn't give us a total number of how many joined in. So I'm going to write just a little question mark. We don't know. Now there are 16 who's singing. So there were 8. Some more joined in. That's a mystery. Now there are 16 who's singing. How many who's joined in? So we're trying to solve it. We're trying to solve right here how many joined in. There are 16 who's, but we started with 8 and we ended with 16. So in this mystery box, this one can be solved a couple of ways. I can start with what I know, 8. And then I can put a plus symbol because I know some more joined in. However, I can't put the second part because I don't know right now just reading that word problem. But I do know that this part plus this mystery part equal a total of 16. So I can do that. So I can start with 8 and then add forward until I get to 16. Or there's another way. What do you think? What are you thinking? Could we subtract? We could. We know the total is 16, right? Minus 8. Because of that 16, we can circle off the who's that are already there, right? And then we can solve our mystery of how many joined, because the part that's not circled off is the part that of who's that joined. So we could do it both ways. So let's start with this way. So I'm going to use a simple shape again. These are who's, so I'm just going to use circles. I'm going to start with 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And I'm going to actually shade those 8 because then I know this is the portion that I had. Then I'm going to count forward until I get to 16. Again, this is not art, so my shading in is not going to be super neat. It's okay. I'm going to count forward until I get to 16. I'm going to use white dots. That way I know how many joined in. So we're at 8. I'm going to count forward till I get to 16. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm going to stop at 16. Now my mystery should be solved. I started with 8. 16 we're singing all together. Let's count forward. Now let's count. This is the part that joined. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that makes sense because 8 plus 8 is 16. So if I were going to write that complete equation down here, I could solve it like this. 8 plus 8 equals 16, right? So 8. But let's do the subtraction portion. What if I was going to use my subtraction? So I'm going to I'll go on the back just so we can have more space. So this time I would start with my total. So I'm going to draw 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I like to, when I'm putting counters on a paper, I like to organize my information, not just put it all over, because that way if I do it in a pattern, if I do my counters in a pattern, draw them in a pattern, I'm going to be able to see clearly that I have 16 and I won't make any mistakes, because accuracy in math is very important. So getting your counters lined up and organize them is going to save you a lot of stress. You're going to get the right answer more often because you're being more precise with your counters that are helping you solve. Okay, so now we're going to minus, because we started with 16. We know there are 8 that are already singing a total of 16. So I'm actually going to circle off my 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the 8 who's that are already singing la 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 la. Draw a little music note. That's a terrible music note, but whatever. This is the portion that joined. So that's how I could draw and illustrate if this were going to be the way I was solving. I would show my teacher, I'm going to solve this way. That's what my illustration would show, which kind of still shows it that way too. And then I would do complete equation. Mystery number solved is 8. Wow, that was fun. I love how math, the answer is one answer, but the way to get to the answer can be solved in many different ways. I love to stretch my thinking and try different strategies. How about you? Okay, now this one's going to be a fun one. You need a 100 board for this. This is a Grinch mystery picture. If you want to practice up on your 1 to 100 skills over the holidays and get a really cool picture, you can work on this Grinch mystery picture. So you have to have a little code here. You're going to need a red, a green, a yellow, and a 100 chart that is clear. This one actually has some drawing on it. This was a little activity I got off of Teachers Pay Teachers. And I've always do this with my student, and it's fun, but you got to do some filling in. When you're done, you'll have a mystery picture. So let's get started on this. Get your 100 board ready. You can create your own 100 board. You can go online and copy one off, so there's lots of ways to do this. So here we go, Grinch mystery picture. This is really fun because it's going to give you a little step-by-step. So we're going to be doing red numbers 2 through 6. So I'm going to locate numbers 2 through 6. I actually might do this on my clipboard. I think that would be fun. And let's see the Grinch emerging. I'm going to do a few of these with you. And let me put him on the board. And then I'll show you my completed mystery board. So when you're doing a fill-in, like if your teacher wants you to follow a code and find numbers on a 100 chart. So we're going to be doing 2 through 6. So I would just go to the number 2 and I'm going to fill that in. You could use crayons, you could use markers. I'm going to do a few boxes for you to show you how you can do this step by step. And then I'll show you my completed Grinch. You sort of have to be neat with this because it's going to form a mystery picture. And so you want it to be filled in, right? And then the next directions would be 14 through 7. This is something that you could do at a center by yourself. You could do it as an extra activity at home if you're kind of bored. So I'm going to skip Hotch right here to 14. And I know I'm going 14, 15, 16, 17. And sometimes my students would do this little trick. They know they're coloring these boxes. And so they just kind of colored like that quickly instead of doing box by box. And that is going to speed up your process. But slow down at the corners because you don't want to go to number 18. Don't want to go past your marker point here. And the first thing we're going to be filling in is his Santa Claus hat. Okay. And then it says 24 through 27. And each row is in a 100 board is a group of 10. So I've got my 1 through 10, my teens. Over here is you're counting my 10 pattern, 10, 20, 30. So you'll get to a group of 10 on the end, and then we'll start the 20s. And then the next row is going to be the 30s. So a 100 board is pretty organized. We're going right here to number 24, and we're going to go from 24 to 27. And sometimes my kids would even dot that in so they knew I've got to color those in. And then they would go very quickly and they would fill in those boxes. This can be a fun activity for you and your friends to do on Christmas break, you and your family members. If you're driving in the car and you're going on a little trip, you could do this activity. Someone in the car could call out and you could color. And then we're going to do 33 through 38. That's under the 20 row. 33 through 38. That's my start and my stop. So I'm filling in his Santa Claus hat. Because I dotted that, I can quickly go ahead and fill those boxes in. I don't have to just do it box by box. So that's a little bit of a shortcut for the Grinch. If you were using a blank 100 chart, this one came already drawn in, but later on you would go through and you would make the little white fuzzy ball. You would draw in the eyes and the nose and then the Grinch grin. That's fun. The next set of colors that you're going to use is going to be your green, but I'm going to skip down to the yellow because there's only 2 boxes of yellow, 54 and 57. And so 54 and 57 would be where his eyes are. They're going to be yellow. The Grinch got a facelift over time, and they gave him some colors. So there's his eyes. I would go ahead and, even though on this little call out, that's the last thing, I would do that first, because then the rest of the colors I'm filling in are his Grinch face. The pattern is going to keep on going. It's going to continue. And then you would fill in, but you've already got these two filled in. Wow, that's fun. Look at our mystery picture. I'm going to save some time by just showing you my completed one. Again, this is a fun activity to do on a rainy day over Christmas break, a snowy day, if you're traveling, if you're bored, you and your family could sit down, print out a 100 board, and solve the mystery. All right, kids, until our next time together, as always, I want you to really enjoy your Christmas break, your holiday time, spend time with your family, relax, maybe work on a hobby, get outside and get some fresh air and play and take walks, but also make sure that you are doing some skills. You are sharpening up your math and your reading and your writing skills, because learning never takes a holiday. All right, kids, until our next time together, as always, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time.